Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be doing a brief stock analysis of Visa, and I actually have just made a playlist of all of the different stock analysis videos that I've done if you want to come check it out. The very first thing I wanted to take a look at for Visa is its growth in the last 5 years. As you can see, it has grown 234% almost in the last 5 years, and also it's increased at a pretty steady rate with pretty low volatility, which is always great for a long-term investment. I also just wanted to take a quick note on Visa's revenue and earnings for the last 4 years. As you can see, the revenue is increasing at a very steady and impressive rate over the last 4 years, and then the earnings is increasing at a pretty impressive rate as well. And then here you can see the earnings for the last 4 quarters, and the earnings for quarter 1 of 2019 are the same as earnings from quarter 4 of 2018, and quarter 4 of 2018 was the best quarter for Visa last year, so if we're matching for 2019 already, they're on a really good track for 2019. So Visa is definitely looking good for 2019 so far. And then here we can see the growth of Visa compared to the S&P 500 in about the last 10 years, with Visa being in blue and then the S&P 500 being in that orange-yellow color. And Visa is around 700% with the S&P 500 being around 100%, so it's really about 7 times the growth of the S&P 500, which is extremely strong for a long-term investment. Next up, I wanted to take a look at a few points made by an analyst from Morningstar who gave Visa a buy rating. The first point that the analyst made is that Visa has a commanding market share in a scalable industry, and Visa is currently the biggest in the transaction processing industry, and being the biggest in the industry always has its perks. A lot of people think of Visa as a financial institution or even a bank, and that's actually not at all what Visa is. What they do is they actually get a tiny transaction fee whenever a Visa card is used, and what they do is they handle the transaction between the vendor and the bank that the Visa card is issued through. The next point that the analyst made is that there is still plenty of runway for growth in electronic payments, which surpassed cash payments on a global basis in just 2016. And what that basically means is that 30 years ago, people were always writing checks or using cash to purchase things. But just a couple of years ago, that was a completely different case, and the majority went to electronic payments, such as using credit cards and plastic cards or transferring money online. And the percentage of cash payments is still shrinking, giving Visa a lot more room for growth. And then just this last point is the scalable nature of the business should allow Visa to improve its already impressive margins. And what that means is that since Visa is the biggest player out there, they're going to be able to increase their transaction fee for their banks, meaning that they can increase their profit margins. And then I also wanted to take a look at a sell rating from an analyst at Morningstar, to be fair. So the first one is Visa's leading market share creates more opportunities for loss than gain, and I absolutely believe that's true, and I'm actually going to touch more on that in just a minute. The next point is basically saying that since there are so few choices out there for transaction processes, that regulators could actually come down on Visa for being similar to a monopoly, and I don't think that's true. I think that a ton of companies, tech companies specifically out there, are much more similar to a monopoly than Visa right now. So unless tons of tech companies start to come underway of regulators, Visa is not going to see any trouble. And then the third point says that UnionPay provides an example of how governments could provide the local networks of that country and shut down Visa out of some of these emerging markets. And UnionPay is currently used in China. It's China's version of Visa, and I think China is a completely different story. I think in any free markets, Visa and MasterCard are going to be able to dominate the market over the local networks. Next up, I wanted to mention MasterCard, which is definitely Visa's biggest competitor, and I've actually done a brief stock analysis video on MasterCard. If you want to check that out, I will leave a link in the description, or if you want to wait till the end of this video, there will be a link that you can click on at the end of this. MasterCard's growth in the last 5 years has actually been stronger than Visa's at a growth rate of 264% in the last 5 years compared to Visa at 234%. So as we can see, it is very likely that MasterCard will continue to take some of the market share from Visa in the next 5 years, making MasterCard possibly a better investment. Next up, I also just wanted to make a quick point on the new titanium Apple credit card, and you may be able to tell there that it is actually made with the transaction processing company MasterCard, which could mean a little bit of trouble for Visa. It definitely remains to be seen how well the Apple credit card will do, but if some analysts are right and it's extremely successful, then Visa could be missing out on a ton of business. If you are interested in investing in Visa, I do highly recommend going to check out my MasterCard video so that you can fully compare the two, and come check out my channel if you are looking for a great investment. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content, and thank you so much for watching.